Morning, children. Today we are going to discuss about another important concept, that is origin and conduction of heartbeat. So, what is this origin and conduction of heartbeat? Where the heartbeat will be start will be discussed in this video. Okay. So first observe very carefully all the points which are we are discussing is very important. So first of all, the heart in human is what kind of heart? Come on, you tell. The heart in the human is myogenic. The heart in the human is which one? Myogenic. Myogenic means you know very well muscles. So pericardium, myocardium, endocardium, like that muscles are there, right? The layers are there. Cardiac muscles you know very well. So the heart in the human is myogenic. So cardiomyocytes, what I am saying is cardiomyocytes can produce spontaneous rhythmic depolarization. Spontaneous rhythmic depolarization that initiates the contractions. The heart in the human is myogenic. First point. Myogenic means what will be there? Muscles will be there. The heart in the human is myogenic. Cardiomyocytes can produce what one? Myocytes the cells can produce spontaneous rhythmic depolarization. Spontaneous rhythmic depolarization that initiates the contractions. So cardiomyocytes can produce spontaneous rhythmic depolarization that initiates contractions. These points you should have to remember. So the sequence of electrical conduction, what I am telling, the sequence of the electrical conduction of heart is shown in the picture. What will be for SA node to AV node to bundle of is to Purkinje fibers, like that will be there. So first observe very carefully. The cardiac cells which fastest rhythm are called. The cardiac cells, what is that? The cardiac cells with the fastest rhythm are called the pacemaker cells. Cardiac cells with the fastest rhythm. So they have rhythm, very fast rhythm is there. So they are called cardiac cells with the fastest rhythm are called, what do you call those are? So they are called pacemaker cells. What do you call? Pacemaker cells. Since they determine the contraction rate of the entire heart. So once again, the cardiac cells fastest rhythm are called, okay, the cardiac cells very important with the fastest rhythm. Cardiac cells with fastest rhythm are called pacemaker cells, since they determine the contraction rate of the entire heart. They determine the contraction rate of the entire heart. Contraction rate of the entire heart. These points you should have to remember. So contraction rate of the entire heart. Okay. So now what we are going to discuss is the pacemaker cells. Very important. These pacemaker cells, they located on, where it will be located, the right sinoatrial node or pacemaker. These cells are located in the which one? SA node. Sinoatrial pacemaker. So SA node. On the left side of the right atrium is a node is called AV node. In the left side, what will be there? At the right atrium, it's called AV node. Suppose this is the atrium, right atrium. Here, which one? The SA node. Here, AV node. Like that. So this right sinoatrial pacemaker. Left side, there will be what we call the left side of the right atrium is a node called auriculoventricular node. Two special cardiac muscle fibers. Very important bit. Two special cardiac muscle fibers. Two special cardiac muscle fibers. Okay, two cardiac special cardiac muscle fibers. That is a very very important. From the auriculoventricular node and are called the bundle of his. Bundle of his. So these all points should remember. Two special cardiac muscle fibers. Two special cardiac muscle fibers originate from AV node called, originate from which one? AV node called bundle of his. Bundle of his. So which runs down into the interventricular septum. So where it will be run down? Interventricular septum. You know very well. So heart, right auricle, left auricle, right ventricle, left ventricle. So here is AV node. So it will be the bundle of his. So down interventricular septum fibers spread into the ventricular, completely ventricles. These fibers are also called, so run down into the interventricular septum and the fibers spread into the ventricles. These ventricles are also called, what is called, the Purkinje fibers. What is called? The Purkinje fibers. This is important. So what I am telling is, the human heart is myogenic. The cardiomyocytes can produce spontaneous rhythm depolarization that initiates the contraction. Spontaneous rhythm depolarization that initiates the contractions. Okay. Next, another important one. Pacemaker cells produce the excitation through, how excitation, pacemaker cells produce the excitation through depolarization of their cell membrane. Depolarization. Okay, depolarization through a cell membrane, their cell membrane. Early depolarization is slow. Early depolarization is slow. Very important point. And it takes place by sodium influx. Sodium will be go inside. Reduction in, reduction in potassium efflux. Sodium will influx, potassium efflux. Next, the minimum potential is required to activate voltage gated calcium channels that causes, so minimum potential is required to activate the voltage gated calcium channels that causes rapid depolarization, which results in the action potential. So once again, what is this influx? What is this efflux? So we will study in the nerve impulse, conduction of nerve impulse, we will discuss. So what here, sodium will be, potassium very important for the contraction, what is called the contraction of the heart. So minimum potential is required to activate the voltage gated channels that causes rapid depolarization. Which results in the action potential. So the pacemaker cells pacemaker cells repolarize slowly via potassium efflux. Okay, so this is a very very important. So what I am telling is, the calcium and potassium influx and efflux are very important for the rhythmic actions. Once again, so pacemaker cells excitation through depolarization of their cell membrane. Early depolarization is slow and takes place by sodium influx, reduction in potassium efflux. Minimum potential voltage gated calcium channels that causes rapid depolarization, which results in the action potential. The pacemaker cells repolarize slowly via potassium efflux. So potassium going out means repolarization. So like that, there will be depolarization, repolarization. So because of calcium, depolarization, which results in the action potential, the pacemaker cells responsible for slowly via potassium efflux. Heartbeat. Rhythmic contraction and expansion of heart is called heartbeat. What is the rhythmic contraction? Contraction and relaxation of the heartbeat. Okay, this is a very important. Rhythmic contraction and expansion of heart is called the heartbeat. Contraction, relaxation. Contraction, relaxation. The contraction of, another important, the contraction of the heart is called systole. The contraction of the heart is called systole, and the relaxation of heart is called diastole. Contraction is called systole, and the relaxation is called diastole. So the heartbeat is how many times per minute? 70 to 70 times per minute in a human. So it will be vary when you're running, when you have fear, when you have any problems. So the heartbeat will be vary 70 to 70 times. So sometimes when you have running after 80 times per minute also, the heartbeat will be there. So these all points you should have to remember. Okay, next one. So adult during each cardiac cycle, two sounds. So during each cardiac cycle, how many sounds will be there? So that is important. During each cardiac cycle, there will be two sounds are there. Number one, what you called lub and dub. You know very well. So the lub dub sounds we heard by using one instrument called stethoscope. What you called stethoscope. Lub, closure of the tricuspid and bicuspid wall, whereas the second heart sound dub is associated with the closure of semilunar valves. This is important. The lub sound will be formed when the closure of tricuspid and bicuspid valves. Second heart sound dub is associated with the closure of semilunar valves. Closure of which one? Semilunar valves. So clinical diagnostic significance. What is the clinical diagnostic significance point of view? If you see, the lub dub sounds are very useful sounds. The lub dub sounds we can easily, okay, lub dub sound is very important for us. Okay, we can diagnose the patient heart condition by hearing a lub and a dub. So when the lub sound will become closure of, very important bit, the closure of tricuspid and bicuspid valves, whereas the second heart sound dub is associated with the closure of semilunar valves. Closure of tricuspid and bicuspid valve, and whereas dub sound is associated with the closure of semilunar valves are there. So like this, there will be a different what you called sounds, lub dub sounds are coming because of the closing of different valves. So what is the use of this lub dub? The lub dub are very useful to detect the problems in the what you call heart. So in the clinical diagnostic significance is there for lub dub. So what you called clinical diagnostic significance is there because of this lub and dub. Next, another important point. So increased heart rate condition is called, what do you call? The increased heart rate is called tachycardia. Decreased heart rate is called bradycardia. Tachycardia, bradycardia. So increased heart rate is called tachycardia. Tachycardia, very important little bit. So whenever the heart rate increase, for example, you have fear or any problem, any disturbance, any emotion feelings, when you hear, when you feel, so the time the heart sound will be increased. That is called tachycardia. So decreased heart rate is called bradycardia. Tachycardia, bradycardia. The next important thing is the cardiac cycle. What do you call? The cardiac cycle. The events that occur in the beginning of heartbeat and lasts until the beginning of next beat. So the beginning of heartbeat and lasts until the beginning of next beat is called cardiac cycles. The events. What I am saying is the events. Okay, what is that? Events. Come on, observe very carefully. Events. Beginning of heartbeat and lasts until the beginning of next beat. Beginning of heartbeat, last until the next heartbeat is called cardiac cycle. It lasts for 0.8 seconds. What is it? It lasts how many seconds? 0.8 seconds. So the series of events that takes place in a cardiac cycle, the series of events that takes place, the series of the events that takes place in a cardiac cycle, what are those? Ventricular diastole, atrial systole, ventricular systole 2, and ventricular diastole. So ventricular diastole, arterial systole, ventricular systole, again one more ventricular systole, and ventricular diastole. So what are these stages? How these stages will be useful, or how these stages will be, what kind of things happen in this, steps involved in these stages, we will be discussing in the tomorrow's class. But up to that, you should have to remember this all points. So what we discussed, the conduction, especially the pacemaker cells excitation through depolarization of their cell membrane. So the early depolarization is slow and takes place by sodium influx and reduction potassium efflux. So this is sodium influx, potassium efflux, very slow. So because of that slow, what you called the process, slow process. Okay, depolarization is slow. So minimum potential voltage gated calcium channels that causes rapid depolarization. So scale calcium is there or not? So the calcium gated channels that causes rapid depolarization. So what is this rapid depolarization that causes rapid, which results in, when the rapid depolarization, what will happen? Which results in the action potential, so will be generate. So action potential will be generate. So the pacemaker cells repolarize slowly via K potassium efflux. So like this calcium gated channels are there. So through this, what will happen? Minimum potential voltage gated calcium channels that causes rapid depolarization. So rapid depolarization will be takes place. So later the via K plus efflux, so it will be go in the sense, depolarization will be takes place. What is depolarization? What is repolarization? That is important. So this is the plus minus is polarized. So minus plus depolarized, plus minus, suppose it will become repolarized. So you don't need to worry about this point. What is depolarization? What is repolarization? This point we will discuss very effectively in the conduction of nerve impulse. But up to that, these points you should have to remember. What points you have to remember? So myogenic cardiomyocytes can produce spontaneous rhythmic depolarization that initiates the contractions. Cardiac cells, the fastest rhythm are called pacemakers. The cardiac cells with fastest rhythm are called pacemaker cells, since they determine the contraction rate of the entire heart. Right sinoatrial, this cardiac vertical cells located in right sinoatrial SN node pacemaker, left side of right atrium AV node. Two special cardiac muscle fibers originate from AV node called bundle of His, which runs down into the interventricular septum. Fibers spread through into the ventricular through Purkinje fibers. The pacemaker cells excitation through depolarization of their cell membrane. Early depolarization is slow, takes place sodium influx, reduction potassium efflux. Excitation through depolarization. Voltage gated channels, that rapid depolarization which results in the action potential. So that is important. The pacemaker cells repolarize slowly via potassium efflux. Slowly will be start, fastly it will be impulse rhythm, excitation will be takes place. So heartbeat, rhythmic contraction and expansion of heart is called heartbeat. The contraction of the heart is called systole. Auricular systole, ventricular systole, auriculoventricular diastole. So the the heart is called systole, and the relaxation of heart is called diastole. Heartbeat is 70 to 72 times per minute in a human adult. During each cardiac cycle, two sounds we can hear by the help of stethoscope: lub sound, closure of the tricuspid and bicuspid valves, whereas the second heart sound, dub sound, is associated with the closure of semilunar valves. So this dub sound is helpful for the clinical diagnostic significance. Increase in the heart rate tachycardia, decrease in the heart rate bradycardia. So cardiac cycle events begin of heartbeat and lasts until the beginning of next beat is called cardiac cycle. It lasts for 0.8 seconds. The series of events that takes place in the cardiac cycle are ventricular diastole, atrial systole, ventricular systole 1, ventricular systole 2, and ventricular diastole. Like this, there will be different events will be there in the cardiac cycle.